Yeah, I won't take up too much of your time, man. Let's just do a good, fast 30 minutes talking about these competitions. Congratulations, by the way. How you have another competition coming, is that right? So is it a total of 3?
Well, this year there'll be a total of 6.
6 competitions for 2021, all in China, yeah? Everything done in China.
I just decided it was originally going to be 2, maybe 3. And then we were talking about it after sort of show 1 and show 2. And just between the 1 and 2 days doing those 2 shows, we figured out a few little things food wise and how much I can really load and how much I can push food to really fill out and get a bit drier and tighter. So we just said, you know what, the only pro qualifier show to get the pro card is in October. There's not going to be another Olympia amateur this year. So I just said, look, the best that we can hope for this year at the end of the year is maybe a pro card, maybe, but all the big boys will be at that show. That'll be a tough one, but it'll be fun. So we just figured, let's make the most out of the year as much as possible. Let's try and do as many prize money shows as possible, and let's try and do as many big shows with good exposure, just to get my name out there on the bodybuilding circuit as much as possible. So we said, look, there's 6 dates that we've got in mind. As long as we can stay in shape, keep pushing through, just keep grinding through the diet from month to month, then we'll get it done. And at the end of the year, if we don't have a pro card, we'll certainly have a massive amount of exposure for myself in the bodybuilding community here, which is great for me, great for business and stuff.
Yeah, I see. Because when you told me you were doing like a series of competitions, I wanted to ask you, because the way I would understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with any competition, you do a lot of training for like that one day, either you're in the ring, you're in the cage, you're on the field, or you're in the circuit, or you're on the bodybuilding stage. But then you kind of need to drop down, right? Recover and all of this, and then you take another couple of months to go into another one. So when you were doing shows back to back like this, how does that work with the recovery? Is all the majority of the work done in that beginning period of time leading up to the 3 shows, and then you just refine it? How does that all work?
Yeah, so
you need a big recovery, don't you?
Prep. Yeah, it's pretty tough. I mean, recovery would be nice just to do like one big show. Like a lot of the pro bodybuilders, they'll do 1, maybe 2 shows a year. They'll qualify for the Olympia, they'll do the Olympia, then they'll shut it down. If they come top 3, I think, or top 5 at the Olympia, they get instant qualification to the next year's Olympia. So then they'll just shut it down all year and just do that one show, just focus everything on that one show and then shut it down again. But obviously on the amateur level, on the amateur circuit, especially in China, it's a lot of getting your face out there, supporting certain promotions. And, that means a lot as far as how far you can push your bodybuilding career in China. But as far as like the whole prep, we have our initial prep, which mine was 16 weeks for these shows just gone. You have obviously the whole off season before that, of just growing and eating. Like with bodybuilding, there's no rest. There's no off season, as they call it. You're just in a different season where instead of being hungry all the time, you're just stuffed all the time because you're forcing food and growing. So the preparation does never stop if you think of it that way. It's definitely a full-time, all year round weird sport. But that initial getting shredded for a show, for me, it was 16 weeks. That was the real hard drag. Like that was that last 8 weeks was rough. And I really thought, after these shows, I'm going to need a break. I'm going to need to just recover from this. This is a lot of stress on the body. It's really pushed hard. But, you do the shows, then you feel good, you get a bit of momentum and you feel all right. And you're like, do you know what? I could do another one. And think of it this way. It's kind of like a fighter. So you pick any fighter, they get ready, they spend 3-4 months or whatever prepping for a specific fight. So they prep for this fighter, and let's say they knock them out in 10 seconds in the first round. They're still going to be fresh to fight the next week, the next 2 weeks, the next month, right? They're still good. They're ready to go. All they have to do then is just, keep on top of diet a little bit. Don't relax, keep training, just stay loose, stay relaxed, and work into the next fight. Or the difference is you have to prepare for a different fighter and different style. Whereas in bodybuilding, you don't. You just prepare to bring your best. And you do the same thing on stage. So it's a case of just, if you're in shape for a show, the show's done, then just maintaining that is more so just being disciplined. It's like, just don't slip up, because it's very easy to go, do you know what? Oh, the show's done. We've got 2 weeks just before the next show. Oh, I can probably sneak in a few cheap meals here and there and some treats. It's when you get a little bit too relaxed with things like that, you start losing fine details that made the last show good. But then there is space there to improve. In the space of 7 days in bodybuilding, you can actually make some pretty big physiological changes in your physique. So, it's a good opportunity for us at this stage to try a few slightly different methods with food and supplementation. From both sides, like normal, natural, and enhanced supplementation. We can play around with a few little things and just see how I respond and see how I look. So these next 2 shows we've got booked in next week, and then another one in August, are going to be practices for those kinds of things. Just let's see what kinds of looks and physiques we can bring in, so we have more tools to play with when we get ready for the big show at the end of the year.
I see. So that 16-week cut, that's the majority of your bulking, your bulking phase is done. That you did the 16-week cut. There's no more bulking, right? It's now just tweaking things, like you said, and refining what you already have and doing these shows all back to back. Is that right?
Yeah,
like that.
I'm not going to grow any. There's not enough time or food to grow any muscle between now and in the shows. So it really is just a case of maintaining low body fat levels and training as much as you can to try and maintain the muscle, try and retain the muscle that we've built, because you don't want to just not use your muscle. Then you'll go flat and you'll look like crap. So you need to keep using it. You need to keep feeding it, but you're not in a caloric surplus. You're not in that sort of off-season, just growing machine mode. So it is just a case of maintaining your physique and trying to manipulate a few little variables, which might bring you in looking a bit drier. Certain body parts, like for my last 2 shows, my upper body, the judges and everyone there said, yeah, upper body, you crushed everyone. Don't worry about that. Front of the body, legs, conditioning was excellent, no problem. Size-wise, my legs could have been a little bit bigger, because some of these Chinese guys have got ridiculous leg genetics. They've all got massive legs, but only quads. They only got big quads. Whereas, so they said my calves, no problem. I've got freaky calves. I don't know why I always have, probably rugby. But it's the back of the legs, the hamstrings and the glutes, which I think is probably just baby fat, because I've never really had them. When you see someone's hamstrings, like say like a Nick Walker or someone like that, and it's just lines and lines of detail through the hamstring. The glutes are all striated, everything's super tight and super dry. So we're trying to achieve that look now. That's what we're trying to manipulate a few little things to try to achieve a little bit more dryness in the back of the leg and the glutes, and that should place me high.
I see. You did a competition before, right? The early on, right? Was that about a year ago or 2 years ago or something?
That was 2 years ago. That was September 2019 in Shanghai. That was my first ever show.
Yeah, how was the preparation for that show compared to the second one? Like you're going. I mean, how would you describe it? Was it much more hardcore now, right? You're a lot more serious, as I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's more serious. You've got more muscle, and there's more, you know, there's, I don't know, it's different, because the first one, they say the first one is always the hardest. Although the first one was probably, when you talk about it, like food and supplements and drugs wise, was probably the easiest on the body. It was the hardest mentally, because I've never pushed myself down to extremely low body fat levels, like competition level body fat levels. But even when I look back now at those pictures of the show day pictures in the morning from the hotel, I remember looking at those pictures thinking, holy shit, I look amazing. You know, I've never been in this shape is incredible. And I look at those pictures now and I'm like, that's 6 weeks out. Come on, Aaron, that's shit. But this time we pushed a lot harder and for longer and got in way better condition. But it was, I would say, for the first 8 to 10 weeks was easier, because I was more mentally prepared for it. I knew what was coming. I knew what we were going to do. I knew it was going to be like just every day grinding through the same shit diet, bloody eating the same foods, and that or the mental consistency part of dieting, where it's just like, oh, I just need a day off. I just want to, you know, that I was prepared for more, until the last 4 or 5 weeks, where I don't think anyone, like, I think unless you've been doing it for maybe after 4, 5, 6 years, when you've prepped so many times that it's just another day in the office. But for me, it's still only my second ever prep. So I was a lot more mentally prepared for it. But that last 5 or 6 weeks was another level brutal. I pushed myself way past how far I did for the first prep. So first 10 weeks easier, last 6 weeks harder.
Yeah, that last 6 weeks, it like, from what you're saying, that's the determining. I mean, that's where, you know, you reach a level where everyone goes, whoa, this is a champion, right? That's the championship sort of, that's the time you have to do, right? If you just want to be a regular competitor, like in your early one, you didn't push it as hard, right? You didn't go into those dark places where, you know, you're eating, you know, what is it, like a white fish, you know, no sauce, you know, a couple of things of broccoli, and that's it. That's all you're eating. But then your output, your energy output is so high. You're training weights and cardio. You're clocking at least a couple of hours a day. So your output your input isn't, you know, servicing your output, right? That's where your brain is like, what are you doing? It's sort of, you know, you feel like you're starving, right?
Everything you're doing.
That's amazing.
But you get to that low body fat percentage, and your body's like, okay, this is too low now. But you're not supposed to be walking around that shredded all the time, unless you're genetically, naturally like that. You know, some people just walk around and you're like, how are you always shredded? How do you always look like that? Some people just walk around like that. Their metabolisms are very, very fast. They're very, very shredded people. I'm a big, thick set guy, always have been. Thick skin, you know, built for a game of rugby, not to be walking around on the beach. And when you get down to that sort of below 8% body fat, that's when my body at least starts saying, nope, you know, I'm going to start shutting functions down soon, so you can't keep doing this. So you're in like a constant battle with your own body, where your body is saying, nope, I need more food, I need more rest, you know, this is too much. And then in my head, I'm like, no, you're going to do it. You got 20 more minutes left on this treadmill, you know, you got to finish these last few reps, and you're just constantly battling with your own body. And then that takes its toll, and it breaks you down a bit mentally as well. So, you know, typically when you really push hard to those levels, yeah, you're not a very nice person to be around. Like at work, I had to have I got all the coaches together at work, and we had a meeting, and I just said, look, I prepared them for it. Like 6 weeks out, I said, for the next 6 weeks, I'm not going to be very nice. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be a total asshole. But the chances are, if you're like laughing and joking, and you're all high and happy-go-lucky on life and stuff, and you walk past me, you know, you go for a nice big smile, fist bump, chances are I'm just going to leave you hanging and say nothing to you and keep walking, you know, because I'm just, and I said, it's not because I'm being an asshole. It's one reason I haven't got the energy to actually lift my hand up and fist bump you. And second, like, when you're like that, the worst thing is seeing other people just like, spring in their step, like, yeah, I feel great. I've just had a great meal and a breakfast and a workout, and you're just like crawling along the floor like freaking Gollum.
Yes, that's right.
So,
I can imagine.
I just warned everyone. I just said, look, I'm just not going to be the normal happy-go-lucky Aaron that I usually am. Please have some patience. You know, if there's an issue or problem or whatever, send me a message, you know, and I'll deal with it. But I'm not going to be very receptive. I'm not going to be big on conversations, you know, blah, blah, blah. Yes. And everyone's fine, you know, they'll understand, they get it. So they just let me deal with it. They give me a little pat on the back every now and then, and just let me do my thing. Just let me stay in my little zone and do it. And the wife is an absolute bloody soldier with it. She experienced some of it for the first show, but more, she really experienced it for this one. And you know, she doesn't get pissed off with me for being a miserable sod and not being able to do it. I think she's more worried half the time. During the first prep, she was 2 minutes away from calling an ambulance at one point because I was falling asleep at work. I just didn't have any energy to even keep my eyes open. Wow. And she was like, this isn't right. This can't be right. And she's like, I'm gonna call an ambulance. We need to go to hospital. And I'm like, no. This is completely normal. If I'm not doing this, then I'm doing something wrong. Yes. She's like, what is this sport?
Yes. So, yeah, I can imagine. Weird. Yeah, because the larger you are, the more you're trying to really, wow the world on bodybuilding. You're a bigger person. You're a larger person. So everything is amplified. When you're tired, you're really tired. You can't have some skinny guy who's like, oh, I haven't eaten. His tiredness, it doesn't match because the amount of size you have, just the machine that you're carrying around, right? So
exactly.
when the drop, so if it's such a huge drop.
I would say, like, let's get like a 70-kilo guy, tell him to fast for a week to the point where he's like in full zombie mode, and then go and stick a 30-40 kilogram backpack on him and say, okay, now walk around for another 3 days with no food. So it's not so like exactly like just the physical side of things is going to be playing a pretty tough, putting your body through a lot of actual physical stress, because you're just zero. Like, I just finished a 3-day fast, so I came off the show. I had a couple of days to relax and just chill and eat and just enjoy myself a little bit, but not too much. I kept it very much under control. And then I fasted for 3 days, just absolutely no food for 3 days, just water and coffee, just to reset the system, flush everything out, and just make sure. And that really helps me just burn off just a little tiny extra little bit of stubborn fat off the hamstrings and glutes. And I just finished that, and that was brutal. Like, through just 3 days, I realized that's when you really start to, when your body just has no energy, your muscles and everything are completely depleted of glycogen. Like, there's no fuel moving the engine around. And that's when you really start to feel your body weight. So when you're like zero energy, dragging 110 kilograms all day long, working and doing normal day-to-day stuff, that's when you really feel like, Jesus Christ, I'm a heavy guy.
Yeah.
But I'm still small fry compared to some of these dudes. There's going to be more. Some of you get bigger and harder.
Dude, 2 days fast. I mean,
three and a half days
fast. Is that normal? Like, post-competition to reset? Is that a thing people do? Bodybuilders do?
It's not a common thing, no. I think most bodybuilders after a competition would just make the most of a rebound, because unless they're doing what I'm doing, where you go from one show and then the next week you have another show, like 10 days later or something, maybe 2 weeks gap in between shows. Most guys would just keep their diet very maintained and very controlled, and just steadily diet into the next show. But you know, we just decided to try a few little different methods while we had the opportunity. And my coach, the guy who teaches me everything, my mentor, Vigorous Steve, he's a big guy on fasting. He's a big sort of advocate of proper fasting, like 3 to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days of just no food, to reset certain blood markers, digestive systems, insulin sensitivity, burning fat, visceral fat especially. So, you know, stuff like that. So we just talked about it and we thought, you know what, we've got a few days here to play around. Let's try a fast. Let's see how you get on with a fast, and that's going to make sure that we're in good shape, lean enough to just keep dieting into the show then.
Wow, dude. Okay, a 3-day fast. This is, for someone your size and what you do, I've never heard of this. This is that's hardcore. Are you training during that time? You're not, or are you very just light training?
Just like pump training, just to do something, just to kill some time more than anything, but not so much like my normal training. I just don't have the energy to do that.
Wow, dude. So yeah, I can imagine that that last 6 weeks, like you said, so your cardio's up, your energy, your intake is very low. Could you tell us a day, the competition day? Can you walk us through that day of competition? So you're showing up to the venue. I mean, obviously you got to do the tan stuff, right? And then you got like, is there a series of shows, or is it just one big like show on stage? Is it just done one time? Walk us through that day. The ones with the photos, the big photos you got, those top picks.
Typically, both days were very different. We tried 2 very different methods as far as food and stuff is concerned. But you know, I'll leave that out. I'll just talk you through the experience, I guess.
Yes.
So you wake up. What did I do when I woke up? I woke up, I do my normal routine in the morning. So you sort of wake up, you get out of bed and just a little stretch, just get the body ready, set up the camera. And first thing I always do in the morning is just weigh myself, empty. So I go to the bathroom, empty out, weigh myself, send those measurements to my coach, and then I'll take a full round. I'll do 2 rounds of posing. So the first thing I do every morning is 2 rounds of all the mandatory poses. So there's 12 mandatory poses. So I'll do 2 rounds of that. So replicating what you would do on stage every day, 2 or 3 times a day. So when you are on stage, it's easier. So I do that, send those pictures over to Steve, and you know, and then he will give me a call and we'll make a decision on, okay, how much sodium can we push today? How much, you know, food between now and showtime, water, stuff like this. Because it really depends on how much time you've got and how you're looking. So a lot of that day is pictures, monitoring how you're looking, like literally hour to hour. And just noticing little changes, checking blood sugar levels to make sure, like if I was eating like 2 or 3 rice cakes with like a natural jam, just something to put in my stomach and give me a little bit of carbs so I can slowly fill out towards getting on stage and getting pumped up and stuff like that. So we have to monitor that very carefully so you don't spill over and end up holding water. So we played around with a few things like that, and it changes so rapidly. It's almost impossible to get that just right, because your body can change like in an instant. Like the slightest, it's really important that we try and stay as calm as possible. So easy to get nervous and stressed. And as soon as you do that, your body reacts so fast. And the moment that cortisol goes up, your body can react and start holding subcutaneous water within minutes. Your body is so sensitive to all of these small changes at that level that you notice, like you'll see it on Instagram all the time, these guys like backstage pictures from their hotel room in the morning, and you're like, oh my God, this guy looks incredible. And then 2 hours later, you see the pictures of him on stage and you're like, what happened? What happened in that 2 hours? No one gets it, but it's these small changes, tiny small changes that make a huge difference. So the idea is don't make any changes. Be ready and make sure you're ready so you don't have to make any changes. You can get rid of those variables. But there's always things that you have to do to make sure that you're on stage looking your best, because you know you've only got that 5-10 minutes on stage to make it count. So that kind of stuff is always on your mind the whole time, you know. So we do all those pictures and measurements and things like that. I'll get all my stuff together, all the food and things that I need with me for the day. Usually here, the bodybuilders will be on in the afternoon, like 3 or 4 o'clock. So there's no rush for me to be backstage pumping up and tanning. I can just go, I just walk down to the show, watch a bit of the show. I'd usually just take a seat, watch a couple of the other people, like the bikini and the men's physique and classic physique. Usually they have the rookies on at the beginning of the day in the morning. So you watch a few of the rookies and just kind of get an atmosphere for the show, see how many people are there, and just get a bit of a feel for that room. I just kind of sit at the back of the room and get a feel for the room, what people are going to be looking at when I'm on stage, what good stage, if there's any difference in lighting, like if I'm on the right-hand side of the stage or the left-hand side of the stage, where am I going to look best? So if I do have the option, like during a pose down, where people can just kind of walk around and pose wherever you want, where's the best, where's going to make me look the best? Little funny things like that, which, you know, might be irrelevant, but can make a big difference depending on where you're sitting, I guess. Nice. So for me, I just think about those kinds of things. And then I will just usually find a little place to chill. Luckily for me, at this show, I was staying in the same hotel that the show was in. So I could just go back up to my room, lie on the bed, feet up, always sleep with our feet elevated like this. And this helps all the water run out from your legs into your kidneys. And then you go and piss out all that water all day. So that's another little method to get, you know, your legs really dry. Is lie down as much as you can with your legs elevated, and that will slowly, you know, drain out some of the water in your legs if you do have any. So I spent a lot of time lying around, just getting in the zone, just trying not to stress, feet in the air. Every like 30, 45 minutes, depending on what we decide, I'd eat my rice cakes and my jam. I'll test my blood sugar levels, take some more pictures, do some more posing, take some more pictures, lie down again. It's very repetitive, the same sort of thing all day. You don't really want to be moving around too much. You don't really want to be stressing too much. Every now and then I'll pop down and have a look at the show and see how things are going, scope around for any of my competition, see what I'm looking at. But that's the worst thing you can do. And then there's a couple of the pro bodybuilders there, Tien Kai and some of his crew. They were there with some of their friends. He's a good friend of mine, so he offered to come up to my hotel room and just help me correct a few poses and help me with my tan. So that was great. I had an extra pair of hands to help me with that stuff and just get me ready, put me in a more comfortable mindset, made sure my poses were looking really good, took some more pictures, stuff like that. And so I was a bit more in the zone, a bit more ready to go. And let's say that brings us up to about sort of 2:30. We'll go downstairs to the kind of backstage area. And that's when it's like game time. That's when it's like, all right, Rambo bandana goes on. You know,
Okay.
You're not even pumping up at this point. You're just walking around with your chest out. Just look big.
Yes.
Walk around look big. So because all I'm looking at is all the other guys that are in my weight class. And they're all doing the same thing. Everyone's just kind of mingling and trying to look big. And
it's like Pumping Iron, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Pumping Iron. That classic scene.
Getting in the zone, like stare downs, and just, you know, you look at each other and you give each other a little nod, like a little nod of respect and stuff like that. But when you look at these guys, to me, I'm looking at these guys trying to stay cool, trying to look confident, and I'm looking at them going, holy shit, these guys are all fucking giants. They're all enormous. They're all going to make. they're all way bigger than me. And then, you know, I'll talk to a couple of friends or the wife or whoever's there. and they're doing the same thing. They're saying, no, 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 you're the biggest in the room. They're all looking at you, exactly the same thing.
That's right.
And then I notice, then I'll see someone that I know, and I'll go over and I'll be like, oh, hey man, you know, how's it going? How you feeling? You ready to go? Blah blah blah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like, oh, dude, you look huge, and I'm like, I'm looking at you going, you look huge. And everyone's everyone's playing mind games with themselves more than anything. Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
You never really know until you're on stage and you're next to these people and you see the pictures. Until I see those pictures, I just feel like I'm smaller. I don't know. It's been so long. It's 2 years since I've been on stage, and I haven't stood next to another my level bodybuilder. I haven't had the chance. There's no one in G-Man. So the only people I've stood next to and taken a few pictures was with some of the athletes at the Olympia Amateur in May, where, you know, I was just like stood by the side, little selfie pictures with these guys. But they were a pretty small lineup. That Olympia Amateur, there's no like big giant boys there. There's no big boys. There's some really, really good quality bodybuilders, some really excellent quality bodybuilders, but no giants. And the only other guys I stood next to were like the IFB, the pros. And the pros, they're all, because of lockdown, all the pros have been stuck in an off season for like 2 years. So they all look absolutely enormous with shoulders out here, and, you know, they're in the middle of growing season, and I'm on the opposite side. So I look tiny compared to them in all the people, but big compared to the guys just finished prep.
Yes.
So it's like I really had no idea. I don't live in a big city with lots of bodybuilders to compare myself with all the time. You know, I'm a bit of a lone wolf here when it comes to bodybuilding. So it was very nerve-wracking. Time goes on, and then it's like, okay, they start calling out the weight classes. They're like, okay, 70 kg and up is on stage next. So there'll be 70 kg to 80. Then there'll be like 80 to 90 and 90 and above, or something like that for the bodybuilders. So when you hear the first class go up, you know, okay, now it's time to start pumping up. So you start getting in the zone, you start pumping up and, you know, using the bands and just trying to get a squeeze on everything. At the same time, you're very, very tired at this point. You're still quite lethargic, and energy levels are okay, but not optimal. So you're just trying to pump up and get in the zone. And then they call your weight class, and then you go to the backstage. There's like steps that go up onto the stage. And then there's like a little area there where we're all very close. We're all shoulder to shoulder at that point, pumping up and giving a little nudge and stuff like that, having a bit of fun.
Nice.
But I had just like butterflies, like, well, it weren't butterflies. They felt like bloody baby dragons in my belly. I was so nervous at that point, so nervous. You know, and everything, you know, everything up to that point that you've kind of programmed for and put yourself for in that. I imagine it's probably the same for a fight. You know, everyone has a strategy and a game plan for a fight, but probably the majority of guys, as soon as they take that first little stiff jab in the face, that plan's gone. And then it's just like, let's just fight.
Yes.
You know? So it's kind of like that. You know, you have a plan, everything. You have to just keep reminding yourself that you've done everything you can to prepare. At this point, you can't change anything. You're not missing out on anything. It's done. What's done is done. Go on stage, just try to enjoy yourself, pose hard, hold those poses until like your life depends on it, and smile, and hopefully you do good. You know, so you're just running this into your mind, trying to calm down, trying not to, and the more you get nervous and the more you're pumping up and breathing, the more dehydrated you're getting. At that stage, you can't just keep hydrating and drinking water. That last day, you're just sipping water throughout the day when it's really needed. You know, that's the last day is the only day I make any water manipulations. Or the day before, I'll go from like 6 liters to 3 liters. The day before and the day of the show will be like, okay, we'll sip on maybe 200 or 300 milliliters throughout the day, plus a coffee. And that'll be it.
That's
so
it.
You're super dry. So, you know, you're just nervous at that point. Then you line up, they call your number. You got like a little number on your trunks. And then it's like, all right, let's do it. And you walk out, you walk up on that stage, you stand in line, you look big, and you go through the poses, and that's that. And before you know it, it's over. You're off stage, and you're like, oh, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it's done. It's already over. Wow.
Yeah, and that was it. And you're like, Jesus Christ, all of that.
That's great. The whole stage time is like, would you say 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Like, how long are you up there?
It depends on how well you do, really. Sometimes if there's a lot of bodybuilders in your class, what they might do is they'll bring like everyone out, or maybe in 2 different lines, they'll bring everyone out and they'll select like the best 3 or 4 from a line out of, say, 6, 7, or 8 guys. And then they'll just have those guys come back out, and the other guys just kind of stand in the background, just like this. You just stand there like that the whole rest of the show. That's it. You're done at that point.
I see.
Once that first call out comes out, the first call out is usually going to be your top 6. And then they'll make these guys pose, and they'll move them around in different positions to compare different guys. Those guys can get a reasonable amount of time on stage posing. You know, you could be up there, depending on the judges, how much they want to compare, how close everyone is. You know, you could be up there for a good 10 minutes, just posing, which is a long time on stage under the hot lights, like holding poses and hitting everything. It's 10 minutes is a long time. Could be longer. Sometimes it could be longer, depending, you know. And then usually they'll pick your top 6. Maybe they'll compare what they consider top 3 or 4, and they'll send you guys off backstage, or at least just to the back of the stage. And then they'll bring the rest through and just maybe have them do 1 round of mandatories just so they get a chance to pose, and then that'll be it. So if you're not ready and you look like shit, you could have just done a whole massive long prep to be looked at for maybe 2 minutes at the most, and that's it. You're done. You know, you won't be back on stage. So that's your incentive to, and that's exactly what happened to me at my first show. You know, I had my like 30 seconds to pose on my own on stage, like as people walk on stage. Every show's a bit different. Then I had 1 round of mandatories, and that was it for me. I was like, leading up to my very first show, like everything leading up to that point, so excited to just like so disappointed afterwards. An hour or 2 later, I felt okay, and you know, I'd appreciated what I'd done and where I'd got to. A lot of people don't even get on stage, right? So
yes.
But at the time, I was just like kind of crushed. I was like, really, all of this whole time, all this prep and everything for that amount of time on stage. You know, I didn't get a chance to do this one or that one, this pose, that pose. So it can be very disappointing. So you got to really make sure that, that's why I tell people now, after having that experience, if you're going to do bodybuilding, make sure that you put the time in and be ready. Don't rush into shows. You rush into shows, you're going to have that experience, and the chances are you're never going to want to do it again. And that'll put you off.
Be so disappointed. That's true.
So it's one of them, but I went off track a bit there, didn't I? I was just rambling. I had like 3 cups of coffee at breakfast.
Yeah, man. But I don't want to keep you. But let me close it out by saying, like, yeah, it's so ambitious to be doing, you know, high level competitive bodybuilding in China. So what would you say, like, your future in China? Tell us where you're going to be in, say, 3-5 years from now. I mean, you're not just going to be competing in China, right? You're looking obviously to the Olympia. You were telling me that in your previous podcast. So when are you going to make the jump to international? What's the plan for Aaron Burke in the future?
Well, I think every bodybuilder's dream is the Olympia. If it's not, you shouldn't be bodybuilding. If you're not aiming for the highest level of something, then what's the point, right? So, you know, when I say I want to go to the Olympia, yeah, you're damn right. And I still have that plan. I think, what did I say before? 5-year plan, something like that?
That's it. Yeah, you said 5 years. Yeah, 5-6 years, I think it was.
3 years left. I got 3 years. So by 2024, 2025, by 2025, I'll be on the Olympia stage. Yeah, and I will be as well. I'll guarantee that. I'll put money on it.
That's exciting.
That's still we're very much moving in the right direction for that based on the last off season, which was really only about 7 or 8 months because of lockdown and everything. And we still managed to put on a good 20 to 22, 23 pounds of stage weight, like just lean, pure muscle in that time, which is very, very good. So if I can continue anywhere close to that kind of momentum as far as growing at my height, size and structure, then yeah, we're definitely on track to have an Olympia level physique within a few years. So the plan to get there is obviously, 4 more shows this year here, just to get as much exposure here in China, which obviously helps me, my business, my coaching. I'm starting a meal prep business as well, so keep your eyes open for that, which is going to be called, it was originally going to be called Iron Chef, the Iron Chef Meal Prep Company. But I can't do that because of some trademark stuff. So we had a little bit of a brainstorm with some Chinese friends and marketing people. And we've actually gone with Jiro Shushu. So like Uncle Muscle Meal Prep.
Jiro Shushu.
Yeah, well, it's like for the Chinese side of things, because it's going to be a Chinese-based company. We have to keep that in mind, that it's going to be a large portion of the market is going to be Chinese. So we came up with that one, and that sounded cool. We're happy with that. So that'll be hopefully launching by the end of the year. So everything I do between now and that company launching is great for marketing and exposure and things like that. So whatever happens placings wise this year, it's all a win-win for me. Like based on the amount of exposure I got online after the last shows was incredible. The amount of support and stuff I got, the amount of like chatter, all the judges and all the people from shows doing their after show live streams, and they're talking about the shows. Most of them are only talking about me and Lu Li, which is the guy who won both shows with the giant quads. So it's nice. People, I'm in the mix. I'm in the mix when it comes to talking about at least these last 2 shows, which feels good.
Gotcha.
And for me, that's a huge thing, just to have a bit more exposure. So, obviously that's a win-win from any show that I do now this year. The more I do, the more exposure I'm going to get. As long as I show up looking good, then it's going to be happy. October show is the pro qualifier. Obviously the goal is to get that pro card. Whether I get it this year or next year, doesn't matter, but I will get it. Definitely, if not this year, 100% next year, I will get that pro card. Then that will allow me to then compete overseas in the pro circuit, stand next to some big pro boys, and give me an idea of then how much more size I need to put on to be competitive at that level. Then I'll go away, I will put on that size. Then I'll come back, hit the pro circuit, and try and get that Olympia qualification with as many shows as it takes to do it. So that's the plan. That's the 3-year plan. And
Awesome.
In the meantime, I'm still doing all my coaching online and stuff like that. I'm still setting up the meal prep company, still at the gym here in Jinan, doing my thing.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I'll probably start doing some stuff once the off season starts this year. I think I'm going to jump on the Impact as well. So I'll be doing some live stream stuff on Impact, so people will be able to come in there. And yeah, all of that good stuff. Busy.
That's exciting, man. Yeah, you've got an exciting, ambitious career ahead of you. One also shout out, congratulations on getting sponsorship by Derek. More plates, more dates. That is, that is so cool. Yes.
I didn't want to
I love it.
I messaged him afterwards, and I was like, I messaged because he dropped me a message, and he sent me a message and all this stuff to like, hey man, we want you on the team, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh holy shit, Derek. I've never actually spoken to the guy before. I've obviously seen he does some online stuff and videos and things with my coach, because they're all in like the Bio Bros, the Super Physiological Man YouTube series, where they all talk about all the pharmacology and endocrinology and biology when those guys go full like science mode on you.
Yes, fibrosis. Yes.
So those guys they're such a knowledgeable team of guys. There's so much to learn from them. So for me and obviously the Gorilla Mind supplements are like next level. You know, there's pretty much with real supplements that have a real like high clinical working dose of ingredients. There's only really Gorilla Mind, probably On It, and maybe a couple of the independent bodybuilders that are releasing their own supplements lines where they actually have control of the dosing.
Yes,
so I think like
that's
Seth
right.
Rossi has one. Seth Rossi has a decent line, I think. Who else? I can't remember who else. I think there's only 3 or 4 that have those really good clinically dosed, like legit, actually you will feel these will genuinely work. How they say they will work.
Yes.
And it's good to see these kind of supplements companies coming out now, because the standard off-the-shelf supplements market,
Shit.
you know, it's not that they're bad. It's most of it's completely shit. Most of it's oversold, marketed. It's just bullshit. And what I usually do when I help anyone buy these products is I just say, look, this is what it says on the label. This is how much it says on the label. Triple that. And that's an actual working dose. And they're like, oh, well, that becomes way more expensive. And I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather you know, at least know what's going to be a good working dose, so you're not expecting miracles from suboptimal doses. And you know, and that's just the way it is. You know, we know why, because it's expensive to make these supplements and to keep them low cost and affordable. If you want low cost, very affordable supplements, you're not going to get clinically, you know, good dosages. So you have to have, there's a balance there. It's not to say that they all don't do anything or they don't work, but there's a lot of supplements out there where I just say to people, don't waste your money, you know.
Yes.
Go and spend it on a steak.
Yeah.
So to be involved with a company like Gorilla Mind, where that's not an issue, you know, and I hold them in very high regard, high respect for that guy and that company and the information and stuff they bring to the world on social media. And a lot of people might look at Derek, More Plates, More Dates, and they'll go, oh, he just does these, you know, natty or not videos and blah, blah, blah. Just take a second, count backwards from 10 and just understand that anyone who makes those videos is making that to draw some traffic to the channel. So you then see the other content on the channel, which is priceless content. There is so much good life-changing knowledge that guy provides for free. So if you can just look past the natty or not videos, you don't have to watch them. Just get to his channel and find the good stuff, because it is the best stuff out there. Like, there's not a lot of people talking on the level that those guys talk at, and there's not many people out there teaching people like that good information, the really good game-changing information. Not just for bodybuilders and enhanced bodybuilders, for everyone. For people, like, he deals a lot with like hair loss. You know, Steve and everyone, when they talk, they deal a lot with fertility and all these like natural ways of testosterone, like optimal health in general, you know, just all like, these guys are on another level of, they make doctors sound like morons, you know.
That's right.
But they do it in a way that's understandable to Joe Bloggs, who's trying to fix his hair loss problem, you know. So it's such good information. So yeah, sorry to rant, but just to be on that team for me is huge. As an amateur bodybuilder, to get a deal like that is huge. And I wasn't even sure at first. I was like, I messaged him and I was like, so do you just want me to post a few pictures, or am I an actual Gorilla Mind like athlete? Am I on a sponsored athlete on your team? And it took him like 2 or 3 days to reply, because they're swamped at the moment. Like, every supplement right now is under the weight of the world, because no one can get stock. Everyone's out of stock of everything right now because of, you know, COVID and shipping and whatever else. And then he messaged me back and he's like, oh, no, you're a sponsored athlete. You're going to be a legit athlete sponsored on the team. Like, you know, and I was like, oh, deep breath, like extra little celebration.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's great. It's really, really, really good news for me. That's a big opportunity. So hopefully we'll be seeing some Gorilla Mind subs over here in China soon.
Yes, dude, congratulations. Thanks so much for the time too. I mean, I'm looking forward to
sorry
these.
for ranting.
No worries, dude. It was fantastic. It was absolutely great to get the full lowdown on how these competitions are going. Your pictures look amazing, and you've got 4 more competitions coming this year. Keep me updated. I want to, yeah. I mean, you post very well. You share a lot of what you're doing. So I'm looking forward to that, man. Thanks so much.
No worries, man. My pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me on. Always good to chat.
Yeah, dude. Good luck with the rest of the day. Best to the missus. Whatever, if you're training, you're eating, whatever it is that you're doing, good luck with it, bro. Cheers.
Well, today we had a date night last night where they've just built a new Kempinski hotel here in Jinan.
There you go.
So we were like, do you know what? Let's go and get a nice room at the Kempinski for one night and just go and chill and enjoy breakfast buffet in the morning and just relax. So we're doing that today.
There it is. All right. Take care, brother.
All right, buddy.
Good to see you, man. Cheers. Peace, bro.
Bye-bye.